Hey everyone, good evening and welcome to this live stream. And it's possible that you'll be catching up on this after we're done with this live stream. Thank you for stopping by. And if you love what I'm about, I want you to give a consideration to what? To subscribe it and turning on the notification bell. Okay, so today I just want to take a few moments to talk about the 251 progression and how it can elevate your playing. So, what is a 251 progression? I'll tell you after the short break. Okay, welcome back. A 251 progression is a progression that moves from the 2 chord, which is the D minor, could be a D minor 7 or a D minor 9 chord, to the G dominant chord. So many types of G dominant chords, and then of course to the 1 chord. Can be any of those chords. But today I just want to show you how to play the 251 using skeletons, just by doing this. Very simple. So I'm going to be breaking this down. So what is going on here? How is this the 2 chord? The 2 chord is supposed to be 3 notes, right? And bigger 2 chords can be the D minor 7 or the D minor 9 or D minor 11. How are we able to just play 2 notes on the right hand and duplicate this? And we have the 2 to the 5 to the 1. Now we're going into this. Let's talk about the principle of skeleton voicing, or the concept of skeleton voicing. What is a skeleton voicing? A skeleton voicing concept, or the skeleton voicing concept, has to do with the use of the third and the seventh tone of a chord. The third and the seventh tone of a chord. Once these tones are used in the formation of a chord, what you have is the skeleton voicing. In other words, you don't need to play the entire D minor 7 chord. You just need to single out the third and the seventh. So D is the first, F is the third, A is the fifth, and C is the seventh. So what's the third and seventh of this chord? The third and seventh are F and C, respectively. So F and C played over D bass is equivalent to playing all the notes in the D minor 7 chord. So I want you to listen. D minor 7 and D minor 7. The same result. So with less, you can actually get more. That's how it works. So all you need to do is to play the third and 7 of the D minor 7 chord. So the principle of going 1, 3, 5, 7 is still very valid. I mean, you can play your D minor 7 chord like this, but this rearrangement will prioritize the third and the seventh. And here's why. The third and the seventh tones of your chord are the tones that define the chord. So a chord is considered major, minor, dominant, whatever quality you want to talk about, based on its third and its seventh. And maybe the fifth is responsible for telling you what chord is diminished and what chord is augmented, or what chord is a common chord like major and minor sevenths. Okay, but today we're not talking about the fifth. We're looking at the third and the seventh. So let's do this. Starting from C, this is C major and this is C minor, and it's all dependent on the type of third. So this is C major 7th and this is C minor 7th. Oh my goodness, I think I have to switch to flats instead of sharps. Okay, we're good now. So this is C major 3rd, C minor 3rd, C major 7th, and C minor 7th. The third and the seventh will have their say on what a chord should be, but the third will have its way. The third is the most important tone in a chord. It defines the chord. In addition, with the seven. The seven also has its say, but the third will have its way. In other words, if the third is minor and the seventh is major, it's going to be a minor chord because the third will have its way, but the seventh will have a say. So what does this mean? This chord is going to be called the minor major seventh chord. It's a minor major seventh chord. And this chord can be used to form an altered chord. So that's the minor major seventh chord right there, okay? So if a chord has a major third and a minor seventh, will the chord be considered a major chord or a minor chord? Remember, the third and seventh will have their say. So what is the third saying? Major. Was the seventh saying? Minor. But the third will have its way. So this will end up being a major chord. So a dominant chord is a major chord because the third is major. But that's not the conversation for today. Just trying to highlight the importance of the third. So here you have the third and the seventh of the D minor chord. And let's go to the third and seventh of the G dominant chord. And here you have the G dominant seventh chord consisting of G, B, D, and F. And I want you to tell me, what is the third and seventh? Or what are the third and seventh tones of the G dominant chord? Your time starts now. Go ahead. Tell me, what's the third? That's right. The third is B. And what's the seventh? The seventh tone is the F. So B and F will be considered as the skeleton of the G dominant chord. You don't have to play 1, 3, 5, 7. Let's go ahead and play the 3 and the 7 and you're good to go. So one chord, of course, has the E and the B as its third and seventh. So 2, F and C. 5, B and F. And 1, E and B. But there's more. And this is where voice leading, which is basically how the voices of a chord should move, rearrangement and considerations that come into play. So this is the D minor seventh chord, considering that the third and the seventh are in place. All you need to do to go to the 5 is to drop the C to the B. That's all. And instead of playing B and F, you end up with F and B. And this is because the D minor and the G dominant have 2 tones in common when it comes to the skeleton. Okay? D minor is F, C. G dominant is B, F. So there's F in the G dominant chord and there's F in the D minor chord. And the voice leading principle encourages us to retain the tones in common. So there's a tone that D minor has in common with the G dominant, and that's F. So it has to be retained. So the F won't be moving. The F is going to remain fixed, while the C is going down a half step to get into the 5 chord. So 2, 5, 1. Did you catch that? So one more time. 2, drop the top note, and that's your 5. And drop the bottom notes on the right hand, and that's your 1. So one more time. 2, 5, 1. If you understand this, you can take this to the other tones of the scale: 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. So the next thing I did was to double the skeleton. Okay, so instead of going F and C and playing F and C and F, so I'm doubling up on the third. So third, seven, and third as a 3-7-3 voicing of your D minor. So lower the middle tone from C to the B. And after the 2 to the 5, by moving the middle tone down from C to B. Now the 2 outer notes, remember, they are octaves apart. So they are an octave apart. So the F is moving down a step to the E. So one more time. How can you play this in all 12 keys? I'll tell you how to do it. The numbers are very simple. 2 on the left hand with 4 and 1 on the right hand. 2 on the left hand with 4 and 1 on the right hand. So go to the key of F major. 2 on the left hand is a second tone of the F major scale with the 4 and 1 on the right hand. So that's your 2 chord. To go to the 5, drop the top tone by a half step. To go to the 1, drop the bottom note by a half step. So the top and the bottom notes are going down by a half step. Let's take this to the key of D flat. So that's a key of D flat. So 2 on the bass with 4 and 1 on the right hand. Let's do it together. Go to the piano now. Let's do this together. 2. 2. To go to the 5, drop the top note down a half step. And to go to the 1, drop the bottom note down a half step. One more time. 2, 5, 1. So one more time, the magic numbers are the 2 on the bass with the 4 and the 1 on the right hand. Do this in the key of E flat. In the key of E flat, 2 on the bass with 4 and 1 on the right hand. 2. Then drop the top note down a half step for your 5. 5. And then the bottom note down a half step. Very easy. Okay. Let's have to take this from key to key. 2, 5, 1. These are skeletons. What a friend we have in G. Is it 2, 5, 1? It says 2, 5, 1. All our sins and griefs to be. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Then 2 on the bass with 4 and 1 on the right hand. Then 2, move the top note down a half step for the 5. God in, and move the bottom note down a half step. Pray. Everything to God and pray. That's all I have for you in today's live stream. If you have a question, please don't hesitate to leave it on the chat. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.